Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Tuesday to you and your family. And again, happy just profit-taking day for my community. We had some really awesome shorts yesterday. We'll take a look at that and of course help understand how much further down this could go if it were to. And also consider the possibility of it maybe increasing as well, because of course we got the FOMC today and tomorrow, and effectively those things could very well change the dynamic. So be careful going into that, of course, but for the most part, Bitcoin is still looking pretty decent in the overall sense of things. So we'll talk about that here and much more. So if you are new to the channel though, keep in mind I love teaching people to trade. I've been trading for over 17 years, teaching for almost the same, and I can tell you it's just a really fun, enjoyable situation. So, a lot of freedom, a lot of benefits, but biggest benefit for me is being able to help my community out. So yesterday we took only about 17% profit on a 32-minute trade for Bitcoin. That turned out to go ahead and close itself already. We've got an open trade here for Harmony 1 at 45% in 8 hours for some nice profits there too. So keep up the good work, everyone. Happy to hear that that worked out well for you, and just awesome, awesome stuff. I mean, look at these trades here. 106% short for Harmony 1 there for K71. Very, very well done. This guy's kicking some butt, and hats off again. And thank you again for everyone for obviously the positive positivity in the community. I know sometimes with the market it can be difficult to have that, but one thing that I find to be positive is the fact that we have competitions monthly through ByBit and Bitget. Okay, so keep in mind you have a very significant deposit reward through ByBit if you were to register and use the link down below, and you automatically be qualified for our monthly competitions. Now, based on volume is one way to qualify. Another one is profit and loss ratio. Same thing with Bitget as well. Both these two exchanges are phenomenal. I use them both exclusively. ByBit more so for my signals because those are automated fully through Cornix, and Bitget for my manual trades. And I couldn't live without either, honestly. They're both fantastic. Keep in mind, I'm required to use a VPN, of course, you probably will too, depending on where you're located. So you get 3 months free with a 12-month plan through Express. Thank you, Express, ByBit, and Bitget for just being awesome parts of our community and helping us all out here, just for a better trading experience. So with Bitcoin, 1 hour, let's go ahead and jump up to the daily, kind of just work our way down as per usual, because yesterday we saw some pretty significant decrease, about a 5.5% bottom to top, or top to bottom rather, day for Bitcoin. So that's all well and good. That's normal. We should expect that correction again fairly soon. And the main reason why I think that is because there's a handful of little reasons. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Now, again, you've probably seen some of my videos lately, and I've been calling this draw for a little while. Well, it could very well increase, but we got a lot of resistance between 24 and 25,000. I kind of discussed that yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about other things as well. A couple of mitigating factors, but also positive in whichever direction you decide you want to go, right? So first of all, we got a bounce here, potentially offsetting on the RSI. Now I say potentially because the day hasn't closed yet. We don't truly know where it's going to lie. If the day, if we close above 23,000, then sure, we might still be bullish for a potential leg up or a retest of this level here at 24,000. Okay, so we may be range bound between 23 and 24. There's a possibility of that. Furthermore, MACD is diverging quite significantly. This tells us overall that swing traders view this time frame as a bearish time frame. Okay, and me more so gravitating towards swing trading just because I don't love sitting there in front of the charts all day and having a day trade frequently. I've done it before, trust me, but all the white hairs I have in my head, which you may not be able to see, are from day trading. Now, again, swing trading, regardless of how what technique works best for you, what color your hair is, this is telling us that the price should continue further down, right? So we got this massive overextension, this this swing for the last roughly almost a full month of upside. It has to come to an end. Now again, I'm not screaming bearish tendencies, but I can tell you that we'll probably at least see a correction at 21.5, possibly even 20,000 to fill that CME gap. There's a strong probability of that. Take a look at the moving averages to see if we have any benefit here. We're still above all 3 moving averages. This is fantastic. You can see the 200-day SMA working its way up to about 19,700 now. Okay, so as it slowly continues to increase, the likelihood of us holding above that is higher. So to me, the 200 and the 50 are the most important. The 20 is more of a trend setter, so we're still above the trend right now. So even though we've broken below this the ascending trend that I drew out previously, we're still over the 20, okay? And being over the 20 kind of tells you that you're on the right side of the track still. So technically, we're not completely bearish until we break below that level, okay? So that being said, when I say bearish, it's more so tentative. I'm not claiming we're going to go ahead and hit 10 to 14,000 for Bitcoin. While that's a slight possibility, it's not a probability, right? That's kind of what we got to go on, is likelihoods of either direction. Again, market movers can push it wherever they want, but for the most part, we've got a lot of volume between the 19,000 and 20,000 range, and that's going to help us in the long run if the price comes back down to that level. So 4-hour time frame, what are we looking at here? We look at TD sequential really quick. We can see we came down to a 6, got that little reset. Now we're up to a 2. Hypothetically, we got another 7 4-hour candlesticks until this continues higher. So we got a decent amount of continuation potential for the upside. The key here is that no matter how high we go, as long as we don't go above 24,000, we should be able to continue lower. The reason why I say that is because we're likely to be creating a lower high here in the near future, right? So you can see the lower high there. And then inevitably, if the lower high continues, then we'll likely see a lower low, okay? And that would confirm our bearish tendency. So if we were to create a lower high and a lower low, and concurrently drop below the 20-day SMA, those are kind of things I'm looking for a full-on tentatively bearish sign. And I say tentatively bearish because, again, I don't think we're going to see much lower than 20,000 or 19.8, 19.6. There's a lot of little ranges in there, but generally speaking, it's a nice support range. All right. That being said, let's take a quick look at the moving averages here. Actually, we already did that. Let's take a look at the RSI. We can see the RSI is at 50. We're testing that level right now. So it makes sense for us to kind of get that pullback and for it to go lower if we're to establish lower highs. Okay, so pay attention to how the price responds to 50 on the RSI. You can see it's worked fairly consistent above, and now we're below. So it makes sense for the price to kind of stay below it. All right. Again, no guarantees, but slightly higher probability. Okay. Again, it's all statistical probabilities here. There's no guarantees on anything. But for the most part, I'm still leaning more towards further downside. Even though we're seeing a little bit of a nice little rally to pick that up, we got to recognize too that traditional markets are up by half to perhaps 1% depending on the time frame. So generally speaking, we're not in a terrible market right now. Just be mindful that we could have, just say we have some, another 0.75 basis points. We could very well see the price spike up or down as a result of that. Okay, so today and tomorrow, be mindful of how you trade because those things are on the horizon. As soon as Jerome Powell starts speaking, I think it's tomorrow for that, then we're going to see some potentially disastrous scenarios. So careful. Make sure you adjust your take profit targets and your stop losses accordingly. Furthermore, MACD still showing less momentum to the downside, but it is not converged just yet. Okay, so typically when you see a convergence on the MACD in the 4-hour, that to me is like the strongest sign you can get for a swing type of trade, telling us the overall momentum has shifted. Until we establish a higher high and higher low, we probably won't see that converge. That's just kind of where we're at. All right, so 4-hour to me looks slightly bearish, not massively, but slightly. Let's see here. This looks like somewhat of a larger continuation, but we got a little reset here, which is good. So we're about 4 hours into this most recent push here since the market has opened. So in that 4-hour time frame, we can see that we have roughly 5 more hours of potential upside. Coincidentally, that's roughly how much more time we have until the traditional markets open to close. From start to finish, we have another 5 more hours essentially. And that being said, as long as we can create a lower high and lower low, we're going to go lower. And if this high right here can somehow break across this plane about 23,300, then we might actually start seeing higher highs and then potentially parallel lows for an ascending breakout. Okay, so again, there's still possibility of the price going up. We have to consider that. But overall, it hasn't proven itself to do so yet or have the qualities that it will. So you can either A, wait for confirmation or hedge your shorts with some additional position sizing upwards, because it absolutely still, to me, looks like we're going to see further downside. I hope I'm wrong and the price continues upwards. Trust me, I'm all for the market coming back. But I just think it's a little premature after that significant run. We see more further upside. We're going to see a stronger crash, and nobody really wants that. We want to see consistency and healthy continuations. So far, Bitcoin's been fairly healthy to the upside. We've worked within these necessary channels, getting rejected at specific key points. It would just make a lot more sense that the price kind of comes down to this range and then legs up significantly from there. Okay, so I'm looking for a bull run as a bounce off of 21.5 or maybe even 20,000 as a rough estimate. Let's take a quick look at Ichimoku Cloud. Kind of confirm here as well. This is also telling us that while the conversion line is above the baseline, we're gaining momentum to the upside. We're still not free and clear of the price action here, and even if we were, we're well below the cloud. So until we can close above 23,250, just say 23.3, we are still confirming bearish qualities. So to me, a closure above 23.3 would pretty much solidify the likelihood of further upside. And when I say solidify, it's not a guarantee by any stretch. It just implies that we'd have more potential for upside because we'd be establishing a higher high. Okay. And then, essentially to follow that, if we have a higher low, just say the price comes up here, comes down to bounce off 23,000, there's a greater chance we're going to see further upside from here. So again, depending on what side of the tracks you're on, we either want the price to break above the cloud and continue higher, or we want it to continue lower and take some profits, get a nice little reset. I'd much rather the price go down so we can average our price down and then of course take some profits in either direction. I love to short into a long position, and that's what we're doing right now as a community. So whatever, do what you want. If you're following my trades, just make sure you're following our bear market strategy. Do not auto trade in the blind. Make sure you do your own research and feel comfortable with it, because I'm not 100%, right? I mean, even though 70, 80, in some cases 85% on average, that there's still margin for failure if you were to leverage too much at the wrong time. Always use small position sizes. Always use low leverage. That's essentially the goal. We use smaller leverage on the downside than we do the upside, just because there's greater potential for failure, and that there's a higher inherent risk of loss, if you will, to the downside, because there's no guarantee as how far the price could go up, but we know how low it can go, right? Either way, conversation for another day. I talk about all that in my Trading Academy. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. I look forward to working with you if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCash.tech. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next one.